Welcome to another episode of the Nerd Variety Podcast. Everybody cheer.
Woo!
Cheer now.
Yes! Hooray!
Like you
I
mean
need
it.
some time, okay?
Yippee!
I need time.
Yay! Woohoo!
No time. The time's now.
No, you're thinking no time to die? There's no time for that.
That's later this year, but anyway.
Yeah.
Hello, everyone. It's us, Nerd Variety Podcast, plus one. But I'll let you know that I am Josh, and the other host is Hayden Rastafarian Rafferty.
I am not, in fact, Rastafarian. Fun fact, I am specifically non-Rastafarian.
Okay, well now they know.
That's actually the identifier that I use.
Well, now they know that. They didn't know
it's like not Hispanic. It's the non-Rastafarian thing.
Cool.
Gosh, I would have let that one slide if she was actually Rastafarian. But
And
you want to hurt.
and we have our other host, Hayden.
Nope.
Sorry.
Yes, I'm just showing up twice. That's my clone over there. That's
No. We have Hannah, Purple Haze, Hogan.
Okay, I accept this.
Yeah.
You didn't even start the song. Come on.
I know I didn't.
I was thinking of the.
No, I mean Hannah didn't. This is on her. She got the nickname.
Isn't there a beer? Anyway.
Possibly. Yeah. But yeah, those are our hosts. They both have H names, which makes my job a lot harder. Yeah.
Sure, a lot harder.
And today we are joined by a special guest, my good friend, Matthew Bare Hands Burton.
What's up? I will let that one slide because I do use a hand a lot, so
Because you have bare hands. I guess. I don't
He
know.
is not wearing gloves, so.
they are
Right,
not
right.
open, so
He's
I guess
got it.
they are there. So I guess I will let that one slide.
Got bare
I mean,
hands.
it's your Second Amendment right, you know.
To
You're
bare
thinking
hands.
of bare arms.
Oh,
You can
So
have bare
it's,
arms.
It's part of your arm. Oh my God.
It's not. Well, I mean, but it's not. It's connected to your arm. I wouldn't call it part of your arm.
Yeah,
Okay.
you got this on yourself, Josh.
Yeah,
the
go ahead.
sleeves.
Bare arms.
Yeah, don't
Or
ignore the
rovers.
fact that this is flab and not muscle.
Now look at my farmer's tan, everyone.
I was just thinking.
All right, so this week I want us to talk about what media has inspired and motivated us into wanting to do what we are doing now or what we'd like to do in the future, and what currently motivates and inspires us.
Right, so that's what you want to do. Did you ask us what we want to do?
I did. I asked all of you. You all agreed.
Oh, okay, that's fair.
Yeah,
It was
yeah.
consensual.
Yeah, it was consensual, always. And so for this podcast episode, I brought my friend Matt on because he has a good story to tell about having to have inspire and kind of have motivate himself to get where he is now, and he's had a lot to inspire him to keep him at where he is. So Matt, I've heard your story, and listeners may have heard bits and pieces, but if you can give some background with context of what media that kind of helped you along on your journey.
Sure, no problem. Yeah, I grew up with a disability called cerebral palsy, which is a brain disorder that affects millions of people differently. I happen to be one of the lucky ones where it only affects my balance and the way I walk, and some of my motor skills. But other than that, I haven't let it stop me from doing too much. And I mean, I was inspired a lot by, I'll say, superheroes, of course, growing up. Anime, before I realized what anime was.
Yeah.
As odd as it sounds, pro wrestling, that was a weird motivation. That is probably my weirdest motivational thing that has helped me keep going and grow into where I'm at right now. But the others, like superheroes and comics and anime, that's been my biggest one, other than my own upbringing.
Yeah. Which ones particularly, and like at what age did each kind of like hit you and like, oh, that kind of, that's one that makes me want to do this. That makes me want to do this.
The the earliest, I would say probably pro wrestling, because I watched it with my dad when from like the age of 3 on into till I was about 10, 12, right before he passed away. So like that was probably the biggest one, and then after that would have to be anime. But that's also like before I knew what anime was, you know. And now, going into now, it's anime. Like there's there's a lot of stories I can tell about it and how I got to that point, excuse me. But
Yeah.
we'll get into that a little bit. But yeah, the biggest one right now is anime.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, definitely. But as far as like getting you to, you know, like wanting to do what you're doing now, as far as because your big one of your big things was you're getting into sports and athletics. Was it pro wrestling? Was it watching like combat stuff? What kind of got you kind of leaning toward that?
Yeah, it was definitely pro wrestling, because that was the dream goal for me, was to be a pro wrestler, until I got older and realized I couldn't do some of the things that pro wrestlers do. So then it shifted into getting into combat sports, you know, jiu-jitsu and MMA. And that I actually could do, because that is so very adaptable. So that's what I ended up doing. And that's where I'm at now. It's like I'm I'm doing MMA and jiu-jitsu, and like the biggest motivation for that was it was one it was anime, and one me wanting to be the athlete that I knew I could be.
Yeah. Just learning to push yourself past your limits, and definitely, you know, I guess the impression of like, oh, they can do that. They're, you know, watching all these, you know, fight scenes, and you know, are people trying to you know, push back or learning to overcome themselves. Yeah, definitely be a big push.
You know, I forgot one.
What's
Martial
that?
arts.
Yeah.
Martial arts movies was a big one for me, because that was also a big one for my dad. Even though at that time watching them with him, I didn't understand it. But as I got older and got into watching them, it's, oh yeah. And then of course you got Power Rangers, Ninja Turtles, things like that growing up.
Yeah.
That, you know, got me interested in martial arts. I just never, you know, thought I could do it until I started doing the MMA and jiu-jitsu.
Yeah. What's up?
Is there like a specific anime or a specific character that you feel like is one that played a really major role? Am I jumping the gun here, or
I don't think he has one though. I really don't think he has one.
Okay.
Josh, I'm gonna call no, and because you want me to talk about it. Obviously, I mean, you guys can't see this, but I'm wearing a cheetah shirt right now. So Dragon Ball Z was probably my biggest influencer, because that was the anime that I was watching before I knew what anime was.
I feel like that's true for a lot of people.
It is,
Yeah.
for sure. That was definitely the case for me.
There was 3. There was Yu Yu Hakusho, which I love to death. I have watched it 4.5 times all the way through. I can count on my hand that I've watched it 4.5 times all the way through. There was Inuyasha, and then there was Dragon Ball Z. But like I say, that was before I knew what anime was. So I wouldn't even call Dragon Ball Z my first anime. My first anime would be Hakusho. So, because then I figured out what anime was, because I watched it late at night with my cousin, and I was like, what is this? This is the coolest shit ever. Like, and so like we, you know, but the biggest one for me ended up being Dragon Ball Z, because it was the only one that I saw that showed you can get stronger by working hard. You know, when you can reach levels you never thought you could. And but growing up, like my first major hero, like as far as the medium I was in with the comics and stuff, was Superman. As a little kid, it was Superman because I'm like, he is everything, he's cool. I used to have this Superman chain that I wore all the time.
I mean, I've always felt like, I just think it's interesting that you bring up Superman right after the point with Dragon Ball Z, because that's just my thing about Superman. It's like Superman very specifically does not work to get his power or anything. He just has so much power already.
See, and that's what I was about to get to, is why I fell off the Superman train. Because growing up as a little kid, 5, 6, 7, I loved Batman too, but I didn't realize how much until I got older. But
yeah.
Because he was the super strong guy and all that, and so that was one of my big inspirations. But like growing up into my teenage years, I won't say that I was rebellious, because I really wasn't. But I did have to deal with my own share of personal hurt and angst and stuff, as my Yu Hakusho notification. But as I went through, my own teenage personal angst and stuff, I started to realize, oh, Superman's a really, really goody two-shoes for no reason, and the world doesn't work like that. And so, like, I started to gravitate more toward the anti-hero characters like Vegeta, like Hiei, like Sasuke, even though I'm just now getting more and more into Naruto, but because I was feeling that same kind of, especially with Vegeta, because he always felt second best to Goku.
Yeah.
And I always felt like I was one step behind because of my disability. So I had to work harder to catch up. So I think that's one of the reasons why I relate to Vegeta, that character, so much.
Yeah. So Hannah, you had some shows, some media that have inspired, motivated you growing up? Yes,
you glitched out. Okay, all I heard was "heh," and I was like, I don't know who you're talking about.
Oh, I'm sorry. I
It's
asked Hannah what shows and media inspired her.
Yeah. Well, so it's interesting because it's hard to separate the shows that I watched and how they formed me into who I am with my parents and how they formed me, especially being homeschooled. I spent so much time with my mom that like she has had a huge influence on my personality and how I view the world. And we are a family with generations and generations of teachers. And now I'm a math and science teacher. And I feel like it's partially, there might be something genetic there, or there might be just the fact that like my parents were teachers and I saw them, but it also could have been partially Bill Nye the Science Guy. Because,
Bill.
Because, oh my gosh, I just lived off of those shows when I was young. I loved them so much. And I think to me, like, the aspect of like science being something that was really fun, and science being something that was everywhere and was in silly things and serious things and little things and big things, I feel like really gave me a love for science and like just how flippin' fun it is. And I feel like that's definitely something that is a huge part of my personality today. And my students probably are really irritated by it because I can't stop talking about like random science stuff all the time. And they're like, this is a math class, Miss Hannah. I'm like, yeah, but physics. And I know you're 8, but physics.
But actually, Hannah, I'm very curious. Do you continue to be inspired by Bill Nye? I don't know if he's still doing Bill Nye Saves the World, but
I saw a little bit of that. And it's funny because I do kind of get it to a certain point where I feel like he's a lot older now, and I feel like he's just kind of sick and tired of people being idiots.
Yeah.
And I'm like, same. I'm only 25, but I still feel that.
Yeah.
I didn't really watch it that much, but some of my old roommates used to watch it.
Oh yeah, that was me.
Yeah, I know.
It was a good show. I didn't have the same energy as Bill, not as
Thank
Bill, not the
you.
science guy.
Of course, because it was something geared towards adults instead of kids.
Yeah. It was more just, kind of showing giving a like scientific view of the world, at the world view, like lots of different points, instead of just teaching kids science.
Yeah. Well, and my inspiration from the Bill Nye the Science Guy TV show was kind of twofold, because I feel like it was formative when I was growing up and I was watching it and taking all of that as a kid. And now as a teacher, I try and exude the same sort of energy that he did, where I'm like, science is awesome, right? And when I was student teaching, I had my kids throw eggs at each other to talk about momentum and stuff like this. Like, so there was the part of it that was inspiring me as a kid, and the part that is sort of dictating what kind of teacher I am today.
I totally get that, because with teaching kids jujitsu, like you kind of want to bring that animation to it, the energy that Bill say, like you said, Bill Nye. Everybody loves Bill Nye, so like teaching, I try to bring that kind of high energy, high pace. So guys, that's it. Good job.
Yeah.
Even working with the kids that I also work at a gymnastics studio as a conditioning coach. So when they get something right, I try to bring that high energy learned from Bill Nye and other media like Dragon Ball and stuff like that. I try to bring that high energy with it too.
Yeah. And there's an element as well of especially working with high schoolers, there's an element of Miss Frizzle that I feel like I bring as well, which is like, nice. I totally expect my kids to think I'm insane, and I'm okay with that.
It's fair. It's a fair
assumption. I mean, yeah.
Because when you bring that sort of energy to elementary schoolers, they just like feed off of it, and when you bring that energy to high schoolers, they're like, "This lady is crazy."
Yeah,
but you
do it anyway.
You remember, but it makes them remember and keeps it keeps it kind of like maybe they have to pay attention.
Keep them on your toes, yeah.
Yep. Kids these days.
Yeah.
Hayden, do you have any media that has motivated / inspired you through your formative years?
Yeah, so I feel like this is a bit different from what you guys have been talking about so far, but I mean, for me, it's always been more music that's been inspiring to me, because I don't know, I remember my dad especially listened to a lot of music when I was growing up, a good bit of variety too, and especially getting to when I was younger. I don't remember exactly how old I was when I first discovered Weird Al Yankovic, but like that, him in particular was probably surprisingly inspirational to me. And it was inspirational because it really helped, I think, with me being someone that really needs variety in everything, because Weird Al, like he does parodies, so he doesn't like just do parodies of one particular genre. He does parodies of like everything. So his music is all over the place, and I just thought that was really incredible how creative he could be with other people's styles, other people's songs. Stuff like that. And, he did a lot of original stuff as well. But just having that and, trying to make things funny and just fun, I think was definitely a really major part of something that inspired me, which is why I also find it hard to narrow down like a specific show or anything that inspired me, just because I always look for variety in a lot of things. So I may take a little bit of something from this show, a little bit of something from this, maybe this little bit from a movie. And then, of course, I pick up inspiration from people around me as well. But that we don't care about that kind of stuff right now.
I would say that
people.
I'd say that Weird Al definitely gives the message not to limit yourself.
Right.
For sure. For sure. It's okay to be different. It's okay to be weird.
I was gonna say, yeah.
And it's okay to like try things that might totally fail.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't take things too seriously.
Yeah.
You know what I find is hilarious? Like growing up, me and all my friends were always looked at the weird ones for watching anime and talk, because there was not a day where we missed where we were talking about what happened on this show and that show as far as all anime pop. And we were always looked at as the weird ones. Now anime is this huge cool thing, and everybody's like, if you don't watch it, it's like, oh, so now you want to see what we were talking about.
I definitely feel like I was in sort of the first wave of like gamer girls, because people still don't believe we exist, I think. But yeah, I mean, having been interested in video games for the last 20 years, right, was definitely felt like an outlier for a long time, and now it's like, oh yeah, that's normal.
Yeah.
Right.
You see them all the time.
Oh, that was another one too. Video games.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Got inspired by a bunch of video games that I can't even name off right now because I still play games. And I know all games.
Yeah.
You can't pick just one that was like, oh, this was the game that made me do it. Like, nah. Like it's the games themselves, it's the systems, it's all.
Yeah. The only game that I had written down was Doom 2. And it's just because it was like I played like a bunch of Nintendo games as a kid, but it was my
always
first like
seem to come to Doom.
I love Doom, man.
I mean, it's
awesome.
Great, but yeah.
But it was one of those games.
You like killing demons, and yes.
Yeah. Well, it was one of those things, like, again, going back to the whole, like, being sort of one of the first gamer girls, right, was for a long time, like, Nintendo games have been really approachable as, like, family games, right? Like, everyone kind of plays Nintendo. But to be a girl in the early 2000s, a, like, 8 or 9-year-old who was playing Doom 2 was pretty weird, right? So, but I feel like that early on, it kind of inspired my love of kind of all genres of games. I'll pretty much play anything, to be honest.
Yeah. Yeah. That's pretty much how I am. There are a few things I just don't really, I actually haven't really given a fair shot on, like a lot of simulation games, a lot of simulators I haven't really tried, like Flight Simulator, even though I've heard it's great. Farming Simulator always just seems so weird to me.
Just none of them are as good as Goat Simulator. It's just okay. A fact.
I have played Goat Simulator, so
Simulator.
I understood any of the simulator games. Like, to me, it's all just like, why?
Yeah. Well, Goat Simulator, you get to experience what it's like to be a goat.
Yeah.
So.
I'm not gonna say they're ever gonna be my favorite games, but I'll play them. The one genre I don't ever play, and it's I want to, but I don't ever play horror games because I'm just scared.
You played Dead Space?
I played Dead Space. I only made it halfway through because I was like 2/10.
Oh, come on. You
Although
I'll keep playing.
I kind of understand that though, because like I still haven't finished Dead Space, but the game that, I didn't just give up on it. Like it just kind of, I put it down and just forgot to pick it back up. But one game that I refused to pick up again. This was when I first started streaming. I was streaming Outlast.
Oh gosh, yeah.
In October, and I hate that game.
See, I prefer
not because it's a bad game. It's just
it's great.
I am so bad at it, and it freaked me out constantly.
No, I prefer to ingest my horror with one hand on the spacebar to pause a video, and the other one on my sound. Turn the volume down, pause it, play it, pause it, play it, pause it.
Hannah, you should have really tried to play Phasmophobia in VR.
Oh gosh, no.
Seeing the ghost in your face is terrifying.
Oh god, I am so bad at Phasmophobia.
Like, no,
We're getting off topic.
Yeah, we are. We totally are.
I have a funny Dead Space story that I will tell y'all. It is hilarious, but it's also the scariest shit ever.
Spooky.
Like,
anyway, I
Okay.
could talk about Dead Space more, but it's fine.
Anyway, I'll tell y'all later about that.
Yeah. To circle back to the Superman thing, I was never really into Superman as a character growing up. Like I got my entrance into superheroes was Spider-Man and Batman.
Yes.
And they're a little more relatable. But then I started watching Smallville, and that was like one of the first like live action superhero shows like out there. And
Right.
watching that through all 10 seasons, and I really kind of got to learn about him as a character before he became like, you know, the icon or the character everyone knows him as the goody two shoes, does everything right, can't touch him, Mr. Has It All. Because as you see he grows up as an outsider. He grows up, you know, kind of isolated from the world. He has to learn about, you know, how to use his gifts for good and make sure he's doing the right thing and not doing something just because he can.
Yeah.
I really did vibe with that message, and it was like it kind of helped me. It kind of watching that growing up was like, okay, cool. I can be, even though I am different, I can, you know, find like my group. I can, you know, I can make sure I'm doing the right thing. Yeah, it was really good entrance into the Superman genre for me.
See, I can relate to that, but the problem with me watching Smallville, and I know you've tried to get me to watch it for years now, but
A couple years.
I think my thing with it is I won't be able to get the image of him now out of my head to go back to Smallville and kind of just put that to the side.
Yeah,
And
but just.
But I will
Yeah.
say that the Snyder cut of Justice League did give me some Superman. I will say.
Oh yeah. Well, as like with these like Man of Steel movie, that kind of did show like some of the stuff that you see in Smallville, like him being an outsider, him being kind of having to learn how to be a loner most of the time and trying to figure out his purpose.
Yeah.
While, you know, and then getting to that status of Superman.
Which I did love Man of Steel. I will say that. Like, I've always respected him, but he's just not a fan favorite of mine.
Well, it's hard for him to be relatable sometimes.
Yeah, it's
Oh,
definitely
yeah,
hard for him to be relatable.
Yeah,
there are definitely aspects of his character that are relatable.
Mm-hmm.
Like he does have a tendency, I believe, to kind of think that he can do everything on his own. Yeah, which he
Side
can.
effect of being invincible.
Yeah,
I mean,
he does definitely have weaknesses.
Mm-hmm.
A pretty significant weakness that isn't talked about a lot is his weakness to magic.
Yeah,
In comic books, comes up quite a bit.
But no, but then they have episodes of him, not episodes, but issues of him repairing the moon.
Like,
But,
bro.
as I mentioned in a previous episode. But other inspirations for me were like watching, like I think started in high school, and then going to college, watching CSI and Scrubs. Kind of watching that, you know, hospital environment, because when I was younger, I really wanted to be a doctor. And then watching the CSI, how they kind of use like, you know, science and scientific method to break down like crime scenes and figure out who done it. I really liked seeing like kind of the darker side, like the fun part of like you know, healthcare and all that, or that kind of that side of things, and looking at the science and the, like, you know, the uncomfortable like truth of like you know, culture of like people, and you know, see the good and the bad, and see kind of as a kind of a gray area of like the look of how things can go bad, things can go wrong.
Right.
Yeah.
Did you relate more to Turk or JD?
Kind of both.
I can see it.
Yeah.
Honestly, though, like, now I loved Scrubs growing up. When I went back to watch it later, when I was more grown up, I was like, wow, JD is not a good person.
He's not great. No.
No, like he's kind of a jerk.
Yeah. He kind of gets that, getting stuck in your own head, or thinking you're the center of the universe, which, I mean, he was the star of the show and it was kind of revolved around him, but his character kind of reflected that, and that was like, it's not really about you, dude.
Yeah.
And then of course, growing up watching a bunch of cartoons and a lot of shows about young geniuses, that kind of inspired me too. So I thought I was smart back in the day.
I feel like we grew up at a time where, I don't know, I'm like younger than all y'all, but we all kind of grew up at the same time, okay? So I feel like we grew up at a time where like we were bridging the gap between, I feel like, the stereotypes of the like 80s and 90s where like the nerds were the outcasts, and now in the 2000s, 2010s, the nerds are the cool kids. And I feel like we grew up kind of in that transition period where like getting into anime was cool and being smart was cool, and you had TV shows about like Jimmy Neutron, and you have the introduction of like Iron Man as a superhero in mainstream culture, where like his only superpower is that he's really smart.
Right.
Yeah. And so I feel like we grew up with those sort of showing us like it's okay to be smart, maybe it's even cool.
Yeah.
Right.
And actually, one thing I did want to kind of come back to was, like I know he was obviously in the mainstream for a while, for a long time before that, but like Batman is kind of that too, where he was a big motivation for me, or inspiration, because he has that sort of thing where he's like, he doesn't really have any superpowers. He's got wealth, sure, but that's not really what makes him Batman. Like, right. He's dedicated himself to being strong, smart, and just awesome.
Yeah, willpower.
So,
that's one of the reasons why I related more to Batman, and that's one of the reasons why I love him now. Like, after like hanging out with Josh for a while, hanging out with some of our other friends, and realizing, because I had forgotten about how much I loved comic books and superhero characters until I started hanging out with you, and like hanging out with some of our other friends, and I'm like, oh yeah, I forgot how cool Batman is. It's freaking dope. Like, I forgot about all that, because me, I was so focused on my fitness and MMA stuff that was kind of my niche for a while, other than the anime stuff, because that, like I said, it stuck out to me and it connected to me in a way that nothing else has. So that's always been there. But like, after hanging out with Josh and some of our other friends, like you guys, and some of our friends that are closer to us here locally, like, I forgot how much I love comic books and stuff. And that's why one of my biggest inspirations now that I'm older is Deadpool.
God. Yeah, he's a very inspiring character.
He really is, because he's
especially for children. Yeah.
He is not.
Maybe not for children as much, but
He's an inspiration for children, I will say. But like, because there was a point in my life where, like, as I was getting older, as I was coming into a young adult, where I was like, man, I know what I want to do, and I'm trying to get there, but how do I do it? And then playing the Deadpool game and like just following Deadpool media, like comics and all that, it was like, bro, just do it. Get there however you can. Like, as long as you don't go to the extreme of the extreme, get there however you can, and whatever anybody says, screw all that, do it your way. Freaking Deadpool does whatever he wants his way, and he gets the job done. Like, as long as, so reality wise for me, it's like, screw how you get there, just get there. And that was kind of what I related with Deadpool.
I mean, he also kind of cheats, though.
Yeah, he does cheat a lot.
But I think the point is he's very like unapologetically himself.
Yeah, he is.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. That's the point I was trying to make. He is unapologetically himself, and like, and sometimes to get certain things done in life, you have to do that. You have to be unapologetic.
You can't be afraid of what other people are going to say about it.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Right.
Yeah.
Like, there's this, for my, what was it, Josh? My 26th birthday,
I don't remember exactly.
Deadpool movie. 20s.
Oh yeah, well, 2016. That's when Deadpool came out. Yeah.
Like, yeah, it was my 26th birthday, and like, so I was living in Statesboro with some of our friends at the time. So Josh comes down from Atlanta to come hang out with us for my birthday, and that entire week I went bananas. I tried to go as Deadpool as I could without going, to the extreme of the extreme. Like, I acted the most crazy as I could. I dressed up as Deadpool to go to the to the first night it came out. Like, it was wild. It was fun. Like, that's how much season like inspired me to that point.
As long as you don't wake up on a bed of chimichangas with your samurai sword stuck into goons, yeah, you're fine.
Wait, why is that a bad
What if my
thing?
samurai sword stuck into the chimichangas?
Right, like that's fine.
I mean, well, Deadpool, he kills people. I mean,
Yeah, okay, so remove the killing.
That's the worst. That's the worst
Killing
case.
Yeah, so
Leave
take
the
that out of there.
chimichangas.
But as long as you got chimichangas, you're good. Well, wait, so I'm sorry. You're waking up. Okay, the problem does come if you're waking up in a bed that has uneaten chimichangas.
Yeah. If you're waking up in a bed of uneaten chimichangas and you killed someone,
They're just
in
not
your
as good
room,
reheated.
Yeah, no, they're not.
No.
And you gotta get like legit chimichangas, not like the frozen ones that you buy. And just...
Fun fact: I never ate a chimichanga until I saw.
I don't think I've ever eaten a chimichanga. I probably
Oh
have.
my
I don't know.
gosh, you guys are the worst.
I feel like I have.
Yeah. Well, we're getting low on time. I did want to try to bring it back to what kind of stuff that we watch, listen to that inspires us, motivates us now.
I have. Was it the end of that sentence?
Yeah, that was the end of the sentence.
Okay,
sorry
cool.
if I trailed off.
I have one that has inspired me ever since I first learned about her, and she still does. Every time I watch her movie, I'm like, heck yes, girl. And it's Eowyn from Lord of the Rings. To me, she's just like
Nice.
the absolute like feminist icon because she is powerful and strong and doesn't listen to people who are like, you're a girl, we don't think you should go and like fight in this war. She's like, no, I'm fighting for my people. I'm like, heck yes. Every time I want to be like Eowyn every day.
Yeah. So I'm always terrible about Lord of the Rings characters, so I'll get back to you on how I feel about that one because I don't know things.
She's actually the coolest.
Yeah, okay, sure. But no, for me, now this may be obvious. More recently, in the past couple of years, it's definitely been what's been inspiring me. Has been what I've been just looking for inspiration in, which has been pretty much everything surrounding like gender identity, sexual orientation, all that stuff. Any kind of LGBTQ plus representation, which gets a bit exhausting sometimes. There are other things too, though. But definitely when it's done well, you get really good representation, and it really helps motivate you, and it can kind of bring you out of a whole thing of being in a headspace of stereotypes. Like, I'm going to bring up the show I always bring up, BoJack Horseman. You got Todd, who is asexual, and like he's just ridiculous.
You said asexual?
Yeah.
Okay.
So like it's not necessarily, first of all, one thing that kind of breaks the stereotype with him is he's an actual person, not a robot or anything like that, or an alien. And that also tends to apply with non-binary characters, which I don't believe there's one, at least not straightforward said in BoJack Horseman, but and then there's the show Pose, which I've also talked about, but that show it does a really good job of representation, and it just shows like it sticks to its very obvious like group. So it has its demographics, but it's like showing the diversity within such a specific group. It's something that, with the positivity and how characters deal with all the negativity, it has definitely been inspiring and motivating to me to help be more out in myself and just kind of like Deadpool, unapologetic.
Oh no.
yes oh yes. But no, there's also been music for sure. In fact, I'm doing a class tomorrow about like motivating, inspiring, empowering music. So I have some that I actually just heard this week that really that I'm really feeling. So but I'll just leave it there.
Cool. Matt, what's got you kind of inspired, motivated now that you're older?
Now that I'm older, and now that I have a specific goal in mind, one of the ones that inspires me now is a lot of fitness media, of course, especially CrossFit media, MMA media, like whatever it is, whether it's podcast, countdown show, seeing how these people work for their goal, because I'm in the same boat on a whole nother level, but I'm still on a whole nother lower level, let me say that. But it's inspiring to watch people go through some of the same things that I've been through. Kind of like what Hayden said with the LGBTQ community, with the representation. As much, I try to find as much disability representation in media I can find, and watching some of the other people that have, their issues that they've, overcome and stuff like that. Of course, it's still anime. There's I've literally tied Dragon Ball into my entire career. It's my fight nickname. It's the name of the YouTube. It's part of the name of the YouTube project I'm working on. But there's that, and also music. There's always been music that I didn't mention, but there's always been music that's always been motivational for me. From rap to rock to even some country. I'm not even joking. But so there's it's all different kinds, but the main ones right now are fitness and anime. It's crazy to me though that Dragon Ball has always been the main one, but there's ones now that I relate to even more, like My Hero Academia, which I actually got Josh into.
Yeah, that's true. He did.
I'm really glad he likes it. But
yeah, I just recently started it. It's good.
It's so good. It's so good, man. It really is. Yes. But that one I relate to so much because Deku, in his world, 80% of the population has a superpower. He doesn't, so he's struggling trying to figure out how to get to it. And it's I relate to that so much because I have a disability. I'm not supposed to be doing the fight stuff. I'm not supposed to be doing any of that. I shouldn't be capable of it. But I'm doing it and I'm there. So I can relate to that so much. But ironically, he's not even my favorite character in that show.
Yeah.
Todoroki's my favorite.
It makes sense.
Yeah. I still think Deku cries too much, but yeah.
Yes, he cries too much, but that's a whole other topic.
That's one of the things in the drinking game I do with that show. It's drink whenever he cries.
Die! Don't do that.
There's also no. Some of these are ridiculous because there's also take a drink whenever he mumbles. which he also does quite often.
The only time I've ever like fallen down, I fell down the stairs a few months ago because I was drunk. Because we were doing like a Lord of the Rings drinking game, and it was like every time they zoom in on the ring, every time Legolas says something obvious or looks off into the distance, it was a great time. But yeah, I fell down the stairs just a little bit.
Sounds like a time.
We did a pro wrestling.
Giving people ideas.
We did a pro wrestling drinking game.
Oh no!
A couple months ago, and that was pretty bad too. But like, Aiden, I don't want to see you leave this room too soon. If you freaking drink every time Deku cries,
that's literally not nearly as bad as the other show that we do just before or after, me and my friend do, because we do BoJack Horseman, and two rules that are the worst are basic. You take a drink whenever anyone says the main two characters' names. And that right there is like every 5 seconds, basically. I
feel like I need to like make a disclaimer for myself in case any of my like students' parents ever hear this. I was only drinking at home with my family.
We do not condone.
No. Be responsible.
Unless you're over 21 and you're doing it responsibly.
Be responsible.
Exactly.
I only fell down like 4 stairs. It was fine.
Only 4. It's fine. It's fine.
It was fine. And my husband almost caught me.
Depends on what you land. Depends on what you landed on.
In safe places.
Her husband.
Yeah. Pad everything.
No, pat everything. Just put Patrick on everything. But
no, that's my husband.
Yeah.
Patrick's everything. Yeah.
Okay, Josh.
Yes, me. Well, from watching it back when it was airing, and then I make attempts to rewatch it every so often, is a show we talk about a lot on this show is Avatar: The Last Airbender.
Yeah.
What's that show?
Not be inspired by Avatar: The Last Airbender.
I know, right?
Hayden doesn't like it.
What's going on.
I don't understand the appeal of it.
Oh my god.
Yeah. Join the club, man.
I get enough hate with this from you guys anyways. I'm just gonna ignore it this time. Let's just move on.
Anyway.
I don't even know
let's suppress our anger, release the negative emotions, negative chi we're all feeling here.
Gotta open our chakras, let go.
Yeah. Let the bad energy flow out of your body.
Let the hate flow through you.
You're not allowed to talk. No.
Okay. Anyway, as I was saying, watching it now, watching it back then, I was like, oh, this is cool. They got this wild fantasy world they built. I love all the kung fu element, manipulation they have intertwined with it. This show was like awesome, and I watched it till the series ended. And recently, I like bought the show and I rewatched it, and then I just rewatched it again in the beginning of this year because after this past year, I kind of needed some motivation or some inspiration to start out 2021 right.
We're watching it as a family right now, all 8 of us. Every week we get together and watch it.
That's awesome.
My Uncle Iroh's wisdom to start.
Oh my gosh, yeah. My parents are watching it for the first time and they love it.
Prince Zuko, do the right thing. Do the right thing, Zuko. Drink tea when you are confused.
Amen.
Stop. But no, like I remember you watching it and how and then it continued into Korra for you, right?
Yeah.
Because I remember we watched the finale together and how hyped we were and how sad we were that it was over. Because it was like, man, there's so many things that you can,
unpack from these shows. Yeah. But watching Avatar and like watching it now is more of like I can definitely vibe with the spiritual aspects of it and the some of the themes that it has. Like you have these kids trying to find their way in a diverse world of people that live in different countries, and they're all divided by their individual cultures, but they can learn to come together to fight off in the Fire Nation, which is trying to take over members in their own communities that are resorting to evil acts to get to what they want, or to think they think they're doing the right thing, but they're causing more death and destruction. And just learning about finding peace and balance within yourself. Zuko I like Zuko's story of like trying to, regain his honor, but realizing that, it's, no one can give you that. You have to earn that you have to find that within yourself. And you can't, you have to, like you were saying, Matt, in the beginning, you have to go your own way to get to where you're supposed to be.
Right. That's one of the reasons why I related to Zuko's story as well.
Yeah. I think a huge message from Avatar that everyone needs to hear right now is that just because the leaders of a group of people are misguided or evil or whatever does not mean that all the people who fall under their rule are the same way.
Exactly.
Right. I love the fact that like they show the humanity of the people in the Fire Nation all the time, even though the Fire Nation is painted to be like this huge negative force. Like not everyone there is bad. They're all just doing the best they can, same as we are.
Yeah.
People need to hear that these days.
Yeah. Definitely. Most definitely.
Yeah. Respect people. Find peace, find inner peace, and be make some good friends.
Josh, you're wearing a Captain America shirt. I'm surprised you didn't mention the fact that
What?
Captain America.
Yeah.
Well,
I figured he would be one.
I just put this on.
But like most of your superhero things are Captain America that I know of.
Well, yeah. I think I mentioned in the characters we identify with that I have liked his characterization in the MCU as, someone trying to do the right thing, but also being mindful of the world that he lives in.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. But we are almost out of time. I wanted to give Matt a chance to drop some of his social media and kind of tell us about that YouTube project we've actually been working on.
Yeah, Josh is pretty much my other executive producer, along with one of our other friends.
Yeah.
I
said yeah.
Yeah. So you can find me on social media on Instagram at SSJ Soldier 135. You can find the YouTube series Instagram page at SSJ Project. I believe it's 135 as well. Check real quick. You can find me on Snapchat at MattyNice125. That's MattyNice 125. Facebook is just my name, Matthew Burton, with 2 T's. And I think that's all of them. And
all of the socials.
And you can send him a carrier pigeon to where he lives too.
Do not
but yeah.
My neighbors.
Yeah. So what's going on next week or next time we record? Or next episode?
Time. So in the past we talked about I think at some point we talked about actors, or was it actors we changed our mind about? Yeah, we talked about actors we changed our mind about. Next week we're going to be talking about characters we changed our minds about.
Ooh.
Yeah, so character development, plot twists, things like that. It'll be a good time.
I'll definitely be tuning in for that one.
Yeah, it'll be a good time.
Yeah,
I
appreciate good stuff.
It was really fun. I've been dying to do it for a while, ever since I've been listening, because like we're all friends, we all know each other, so of course I support you guys, and I appreciate it. It's been a lot of fun. I hope we get to do it again soon.
Yeah, it's great to have you.
Yeah, well, you've officially requested to be on Anime Part 2, so you can school all of us. So we'll see if we can make that happen.
School is strong.
Is it though?
Yes, because as much as I say that I'm an anime head, because I am, like I only know the specific ones I know. So.
Yeah, well, I think you'll help balance out our conversation. But that does it for this week. We will see you all soon. Until then, nerd out.
Nerd out.
Yeah.